Everyone, I'm going to call the August 19th, 2024 meeting of the Woodbridge Board of Education to order at 7 o'clock p.m. from our new location in the main meeting room of the Woodbridge Town Hall. This meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be available on the district website. I'll now call the roll. Stephen Lawrence.
Present.
Sarah Beth Delpreet is on her way. Dr. Jay Daya will not be with us this evening. Lauren Franchese. Present. Brooke Hopkins is on her way. Jeff Hughes will not be with us this evening. Mike Strambler.
Here.
Erin Williamson.
Here.
She will be attending remotely as a call-in. And I'm the chair, Lynn Piasek. Staff in attendance this evening, Ms. Vonda Tenza, Superintendent, Ms. Donna Kunin, Director of Business and Operations, Ms. Carrie Borcherding, Director of Special Services, Ms. Annalisa Sherman, Principal, Mr. James Sapia, Assistant Principal, and Ms. Cheryl Toffel, Assistant Principal, and Ms. Marcia DeGennaro, Clerk of the Board. Okay, this evening I am delighted to welcome our new staff hires for the 24-25 school year. Two of them will be here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. With us tonight is, I'm going to try again, Alina Marcelinas, grade 1, and Jessica Hill, our new cafeteria supervisor. So I would ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and they will lead us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Correspondence, I don't believe I saw anything that came in, but emails and letters that were received as board correspondence prior to 4 p.m. today will be posted online in board book, and I don't think we received any. Public comment? Is there any public comment this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The minutes from the June 17th regular meeting are included in this evening's consent agenda, along with a budget narrative, a budget summary, the detailed financial report, and the combining financial statements. Does anyone on the board wish to extract anything from tonight's consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Stephen Lawrence made the motion. Do I have a second? Mike Strambler seconded it. All those in favor? Erin?
Erin says aye.
Erin says aye, thank you. It's unanimous. Moving on to item 3 on the agenda, superintendent's report. Vonda.
Thank you. I'm going to start the evening by introducing the few new staff that we do have here. Today was the first day of our new teacher orientation, and we did have other staff members there who were unable to be here tonight. Their second day of orientation will be on Friday, and then sandwiched in between that are our 3 first days of professional learning. So while the students come back next week, our staff will be back in earnest tomorrow. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we were really excited to greet some of our new staff today. Our administrators worked really hard this summer. The entire team did. We had some really robust candidate pools, and we have some excellent candidates here that we are so proud to bring into our Beecher Road family. So we have Alina Marcelinas, grade 1 teacher. And, you know, just they had to share little fun facts about themselves this morning, and Jessica wasn't here for it, so she's probably sweating, thinking, what am I going to share about her? I'm actually going to share something different about Alina. When Alina was with us for her final interview, at the end of the interview, I discovered that Alina had been on vacation and brought her grandma in the car So Mr. Sapia and I went out and met Grandma, and Grandma was in the passenger seat, kind of like nervously fretting with what I perhaps were rosary beads. They were. And she was just so pleased to hear that we had brought Elena into the family, and she told us immediately that Elena has wanted to be a teacher since she was a very little child. So we are thrilled to have her, and Grandma should be very proud. And so there we go. And we have many other great new staff who could not be here this evening. We also have Jessica Hill, and Jessica fills a very, very large position in our district. Jane Roddy has been our cafeteria food service director for many years, and, is still working with us to support some of the businessy ends while Jessica transitions. We have absolutely no worries about Jessica transitioning. It's not really a fun fact, but it's an amazing fact. She comes to us with a wealth of experience in the field, and when we looked at her resume and saw her training with Whitson's, we were like, this is amazing. Jessica actually lives in nearby Orange with her children and her husband, who's here tonight, and she shared with us that she's really excited to get to know some of the children with whom her children will be going to school when they connect at Amity Middle School and High School. So we're glad to have you with us. Thank you. And with that, new staff, you've had a very long day. You do not need to feel compelled to stay. If you want to grab a snack on the way and just be careful driving, you're welcome to stay, but there's absolutely no need. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early for convocation.
Bright and early.
Bright and early. Thank you very much for being here.
Appreciate you.
Okay. So the rest of my report, I'll just kind of move through. We are in a new location. So on August 12th, the Board of Education sent out a community update letting everybody know that we are so pleased to convene here. We are so very pleased to have David and Nick supporting us in the back with the technology. We were successful at Beecher Road School, and our own Anthony Billings was doing a great job, but this is just a much more professional atmosphere and conducive to the town meetings that we were so pleased to be able to be included in the venue, and it just kind of levels everything out. So we are thrilled to be here, and we look forward to all of our meetings here. We hope that the community that's listening at home and watching later is able to hear us more clearly and see us more clearly. And that's one of our efforts with communication, is trying to be clear. So here we are. And it also does free up our auditorium for lots of rec events and things that have often had to be rescheduled so that we could have board meetings. So what is new? With a new year comes lots of new stuff. So this year, the board approved funds to help defray student supply costs by bulk purchasing certain items like markers and crayons. So we do certainly hope that that new piece that we added into our budget help alleviate some of the funds that the families are spending. We do have a new portion of our roof near the K-wing almost complete. They're putting on their finishing touches. We will have a new north parking lot soon. I'll talk more about that later. Some new sidewalks, new repaired areas, and we will continue to have improved drainage and site work occurring into the fall, and at this point, maybe even later. We will soon have a new piece of playground equipment that all children can enjoy, children of all abilities, and it's been ordered, and we will look forward to that being installed. We have some new flooring in areas. We had some asbestos removed. We have the new line boards that we started to replace our smart boards with. We have those in grades 1, 2, 5, and our 4 meg classrooms. We have a new educator evaluation plan. Well, that's kind of exciting. We have a new messaging for School Messenger, replacing Swift K-12. It integrates perfectly with Power School, which is a reason that our families will need to make sure that their Power School is current and accurate. And it really should be a seamless integration. We also have a new absence management and hiring system, Red Rover. We have improvements to our phone system and our servers. We have a new K-3 literacy program. We have new grade 4 through 6 math resources. And again, above all, the most important new thing are new staff and new students. Our first day for students will be Monday, August 26th. As a reminder, both August 26th and 27th are early release days for students and are full days for staff. And, we have lots of professional learning that begins tomorrow. Our convocation starts at 8:15. All board members are welcome to attend. It'll run till about 9:45, and at that point, the teachers will head off to professional learning by 10. We will have some light refreshments if anybody's hungry, starting at 7:45. Our administrators have worked hard this year to design professional learning along with the PDEC committee, and we look forward to that work beginning tomorrow. I do want to take just a minute to start the year to express my gratitude to our incredible team for a lot of dedication and hard work. It was a very bumpy summer. Our building and grounds were extremely busy. As a result of this, our summer ESY and summer enrichment programs had the same fun and the same learning, but in a different location up at Amity Middle School, Bethany. Rec relocated to the high school, and they were very successfully run. So we're very appreciative of the staff that had to pack up and unpack and then repack and then unpack again, and the custodian staff that had to move, and the Amity staff that said they loved every minute of us, but I'm sure there were a few minutes that maybe not so much. The 12-month employees at Beecher Road School deserve a huge shout out. They worked all summer without AC, without consistent lighting. Flashlights in the bathrooms were kind of like the common working conditions. And we had a lot of challenges, but despite that, our custodial crew was busy cleaning and making our beautiful building ready. Our technology department made significant improvements. Our secretarial staff was very busy preparing materials so that our opening days are successful. Central office staff worked really hard to streamline some new program efficiencies and help move the summer work forward. As always, hats off to Vito, who even this morning greeted me at 7:15 with a worried face and his very refreshing good news, bad news, good news mantra, and he squeezes the bad news in between some good news sandwiches. He ensured, we had a power outage this morning with a transformer blown, and he ensured that United Illuminating was there immediately fixing it. So I'm a worrier, and Vito was right alongside with me, and I appreciate that. Another particular thank you to Jeff Jimenez for his work converting our database materials for our staff absence and recruiting and hiring platforms, and for Marcia making sure that we had everything we needed. Even today, Marcia was double checking every single student that we had enrolled so that our enrollment count tonight was accurate as much as it can be. And I do just want to point out, enrollment changes daily as school approaches, even after school starts, but it changes daily. And so I do want to talk about enrollment. Our enrollment at this point stands at 848. And while I will note that our kindergarten classes are currently on the smaller side, Marcia and Lisa went through this data all day long. And this afternoon, we still have, I would say, 5 at least kindergartners that can't be put here on the list because all of their paperwork is not in, but we have every understanding that they are coming to us. So our numbers are growing. When you look at those numbers, you will notice that the K classes are currently on the smaller side. One consideration that we made in keeping these class sizes small is that this year, if you remember, we accepted almost 20 kindergartners to accommodate the new Connecticut state cutoff of September 1st for enrolling kindergartners. We accepted about 20. Some of those learners are much younger and in some cases have not had the same opportunities that many of our Beecher Road kindergartners have when they join us. So as a result, we anticipate that our kindergarten classes will be extremely diverse this year, and our teachers will be very busy working to provide as much direct instruction as possible, and we believe that those smaller class sizes will be helpful. As a reminder, last year the kindergarten classes started the year and remained at 21 students all year long. That is the same number that is rolling to first grade this year. We can, in fact, look at some fluctuating para support to grade 1 when appropriate. And, again, we look forward to a really successful year with our numbers the way that we are. Staffing, I just want to let you all know that we are actually, when I say this, we're going to be fully staffed with paras. A little bit later, I'm going to say that we're not fully staffed with paras. But right now, we're fully staffed with paras that we had put into the budget. Okay, so based on our budget and our needs, we are fully staffed, and it's so exciting. We hired a few more. I think even today, we hired at least one more or two. So that's wonderful. We budgeted 36.6, and we are staffed with 36.6 paras. That's amazing. Many districts are not. So, now, and I'll hint at this, for a possible new agenda item later, since the budget was adopted as recently as Friday, which was just a couple days ago, we've had 4 students move into the district that require one-on-ones through their IEP. So now in this sentence, we're not fully staffed anymore. And so one of the items that I asked the board to consider is authorizing me to add 4 paraprofessional positions to this year's operating budget based on enrollment needs for special education students. And we can talk more about that later. So we've filled all of our other positions. We do still have a part-time school psychologist and a STEAM teacher opening, but those are we're actually in the middle of second round of interviews for STEAM right now. So we're working to close those in. A few more updates. The roof and grounds project, there are a lot of moving parts. The Silktown Roofing group shared that they are at the final stages of their work. I was amazed by all of our crews based on the weekend's weather, but today All Electric had a crew of 4 men on the roof, and they plan to finish reconnecting all of our electrical by tomorrow afternoon. They are committed to completing this project by August 23rd. That feels close because it is close. Vito has some finishing parts once the gas and electric are reconnected and restarting our micro turbine. These pieces will ensure that our emergency lighting, our hot water, and our HVAC will be up and running. It's been a long summer without those items for our staff. So we have a lot of people coming to check over the next few days to make sure that those pieces are connected. Regarding the paving, again, I'm amazed to say this based on the deluge that occurred yesterday in this area, but Guerra Construction was targeted to begin paving today. They have pushed it to tomorrow and Thursday into Friday for paving and striping on Friday, with any leftover if they have to on Saturday. They are committed again to making sure that our lines are painted so that our fire marshal can come and give us the permission to start. So I do want to be clear that all signs point to us being able to open Monday for learning with our students, every single one of them, as of 3:15 this afternoon. I do want to say, though, as we observed this weekend, weather may provide obstacles to our goals. So if for any reason we learn that this start date is not possible, I will notify our community immediately. But I do want to say that at this point, all signs point to us opening as planned on time. And then one last piece, the building, I know as I look at thunder looming, the building expansion project. So separate from the roof and the site work and the grounds and the drainage, we have another exciting project that is taking a very close and careful look at our space needs. So that work actually began on August 1st. So on August 1st, the selected architectural firm Antonazzi held a kickoff meeting, and they met with us and they've already begun their first steps of gathering information. They came to the building, they started walking through the building and looking at our facilities. That's their first step. They collected all our available building plans, SCADs of them, and they're going to scan them so that we have them available for digital reference, which is amazing. They will be meeting with representative groups of staff starting in mid-September. I'll be working with Principal Sherman to organize that so that we can have all the different various user groups in our building tapped into for feedback. Next steps include conducting an EdSpec study, which has been already vetted and approved by the board and the Board of Selectmen. The money has been set aside. It's capital funding. It's been set aside. Construction Solutions Group has been the group that has been identified by the building committee to do this work. So at this point, we just need the CSG group to be able to extend their contract to the third through final stages of that project. They conducted the first 2 phases with Board of Education operating funds. So the rest of that would be funded by the capital plan and has already been approved. And again, the draft schedule that was presented to the committee during the interview process for the building expansion project does have the firm Antonazzi presenting vetted options and helping the town prepare for a 2025 June referendum at this point. That's their draft timetable.
Thank you. any comments or questions other than amazing work that you
Everybody's doing.
that everyone is doing. I was over at school today. Everybody deserves a round of applause for what's happening over there. And the end result is we're going to have a better space for our kids to learn in, a better space for our faculty and staff to work in. So I'm very pleased about that. And I too would add your kudos to Vito, who is beyond amazing in my opinion, and a real asset to our district. So administrators, you've been above and beyond, so thank you. Any other questions or comments or?
I'm also very happy to hear about the progress made over the summer, and great to hear that we're on schedule as of now. Hopefully, no other weather events to open on Monday. I just have one question about the kindergarten class. How many younger kids did you say were brought in this year? Did you mention?
About 20. It
About
might have been
20.
18. It was
Okay.
about 20.
Okay, yeah, and so you commented on the differentiation that might need to happen, given that they're a bit younger. I was wondering about the placement procedure for kids in kindergarten. So was there an attempt to group younger kids, or are they just dispersed throughout the various classrooms?
The classes are balanced, so it would
Okay.
really be very difficult to group them all in one room. They are
Yeah.
balanced throughout the six sections of kindergartners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. Vonda,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Really informative report. Ms. Sherman? Next on our agenda is the Beecher Road School update. So we're going to ask you to come. We have a nice table for you now to sit at. Table with a comfy chair.
Good evening. Thanks so much for allowing me to be here in this lovely new space. I do appreciate it. So yes, my update is brief, but I wanted to, once again, I mentioned this before, but I wanted to once again take a moment to thank our Amid Middle School colleagues. They were very welcoming and wonderful to our staff and our students, and I got some really great pictures of Dr. Tracy reading to the kindergarten students, which he thoroughly enjoyed, and I know the secretaries loved having our kids there because they smiled every time they talked about them. And there was a variety of programs and classes, and we had a lot of happy students, and it was a successful program, even though it was in a different location. We had a very successful program for both summer enrichment program and our extended school year. I know that Superintendent Tenza said this, but I have to give another shout out to our custodial crew and our administrative assistants who worked all summer long to prepare the building and to prepare for our incoming students. We are so excited to have our building filled once again with their smiling faces. We were happy, administrators, to have teachers back in our building today because it's been a long summer without them. It's a very big building and it's been pretty empty for the summer for all of the work to happen, and just seeing smiling faces and teachers setting up their classrooms made us really, really happy, and we can't wait for all of our kiddos to come back in a week. And the last thing I'm going to just touch on is our meet and greet. That is something that we started post-COVID as a Beecher Road School event in order to allow our students to come back into the building and meet their teacher. The meet and greet really, in our mind, has a few different purposes. The first is really to find their classroom. The second would be to drop off some of their supplies, and the third is to meet the teacher, of course. As you know, there has been a tremendous amount of roofing work and grounds work on the exterior of the building, and worth mentioning is that there has also been a tremendous amount of work in the interior of the building as well. The North Office received new flooring, which is beautiful, but the North Office is still in disarray. There's been some rugs and asbestos abatement happening down south. So there's been, in addition to all of the regular classroom cleaning that our custodial crew has had to do. So as we thought about the meet and greet and as we took into account the timeline of the work that's happening and the status of the building, we really had to think through very carefully the safety of our students. We had to also consider the fact that our staff were not permitted into the building until today. And we had to think about really the why behind that meet and greet. And taking all of that into consideration, we did make the decision to cancel it. Many of our families know this information already because we did send out a communication once that decision was made. And I know that there's many members of our community that are hoping that we will hold a virtual meet and greet instead. And in discussing that with some of my staff members, and in discussing that with our union executive board president, we do feel as if that the purpose of the meet and greet is really to find their classrooms and to drop off supplies. And since kids won't be able to do that, we are not considering holding a virtual meet and greet at this time. I will say that the meet and greet was scheduled for Thursday. Kids come back to school on Monday, just a few days later, and we will be ready to welcome them. We will have additional staff outside in the hallways to help kiddos find their classrooms. Some parents have reached out to me about their supplies, and I have said, kids don't need everything on the first day of school. Like, feel free to send it in drips and drabs. As Superintendent Tenza mentioned, we also cut down on the amount of supplies coming in by our bulk ordering process. And it's a short day, so the first day of school is going to be a little bit like our first meet and greet, which it often is. It's an opportunity to meet your classmates, meet your teacher, do some community building events. So at this time, we are not planning on holding a meet and greet virtual or in person. And it really was a difficult decision. We know that it is one that it is one that our community does enjoy, but we really do have to balance a lot of different competing factors, including the safety and the status of the building. So I did want to sort of publicly share that as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Any questions, comments, board members? Okay, I'm just going to, for the public that's watching, note that our secretary, Sarah Beth, has arrived. And also I have received notification from Brooke Hopkins that she is stuck in rain in Southbury and is probably not going to make it. So, it's raining there again. Yay. Next on the agenda is the BRS Infrastructure Building Committee update. So, Vonda, do you want to say anything, or I see
I
the
did-
chairman of that committee is here this
Right.
evening.
I mean, I did cover a lot of information in
In
my
your
update.
update.
If there's anything else that, might want to be added through the chair, that's due.
Maria says we're good.
I think we are.
Yeah, I think we are too.
Yeah, I jumped ahead and gave it out.
Board members, do you have any questions on the building committee and what Antonazzi and Associates are doing thus far? I mean, I was there the other day when they picked up this huge box with all of the plans, and when I heard they were going to be digitized, I thought, what an amazing resource we're going to have for the future, and his, a historical piece of information for going forward, and what was there to start way back and what's there now. It'll be wonderful. So
I do have a question, actually. Now that
Now
you
that
gave me
I've
enough
said
time,
that?
you gave me two options. So, just in terms of presenting options, with an eye toward, was it a June 2025 referendum?
That is what they targeted in their presentation
So,
as a draft.
yep. Is there a time frame for when the options will be presented, and to whom will they be presented?
it's a good question. Do you want to answer that?
I can answer it with I'd need to go back. I don't have that information with me. I do believe there was a little bit more of a broken down time frame that I don't have at my fingertips. But it was a layered communicative effort of how it was going to be shared with the town and the community.
Great.
And community correct me if I'm wrong, Maria, but community meetings where not just the school community, but beyond the school community would get information about their options.
Yeah, so the first phase of that would be a tri-board meeting, targeted to be the end of November, beginning of December, between the Board of Education, the Board of Selectmen.
Hang on a minute, Maria. Nick, can you not hear her? Can you come up, Maria? So for the public that may be watching, Dr. Maria Madonic, who is the chair of the Beecher Road School Infrastructure Building Committee.
Thank you. Yeah, the first phase of that that's targeted is a tri-board meeting, and that is slated for the end of November, beginning of December of this year. And that would, the three boards would be the Board of Education, the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Finance. The goal at that meeting is to present that the work that the consultants have done, both in figuring out what we need for educational spaces and what some viable options would be, as well as a rough cost breakdown with a grant funding that would come with that, so that the three boards had the time to look at all those options, see what we need, and consider what those would be. From that meeting forward, after the boards discuss that, then there would be another phase of the project where presumably the three boards together would decide, what, the few best paths forward may be based on what the town resources are and what we're able to do at the time and what the school needs. And then from then on would start another phase of going out to the community and working with the community to talk about what we need and what the process has been and what the options would be.
Great. So, and in terms of communicating, it's really, in a sense, for broader community members, the onus is on them earlier on. They can learn about it if they choose. I mean, these will be public conversations, presumably.
Yes, absolutely.
So they will have that opportunity to learn, and then in a sense, in that third phase, there'll be a concerted effort to outreach and make sure, folks have an opportunity to know what's going on and have an idea of the rationale and what we're thinking.
Absolutely. And, it was important for us to make sure that all the goals of the committee came across, and the goals where we wanted appropriate educational spaces for our current students.
Mm-hmm.
We also wanted to adapt to the increasing enrollment, and we want to make sure that we have a plan. The building and the grounds are a town asset. We want to make sure we had a plan for maintenance, capital improvements of that town asset. So we're hoping that all three of those goals, we can let the community know, we can show them the work that's being done to meet those goals. And yes, after that tri-board meeting will absolutely be a public meeting, as are all of those conversations. And then going forward, there'll be significant outreach. In fact, one of the reasons why we chose the firm to do the study, Antonazi and Associates, is because they have extensive experience with outreach to communities.
Great.
And so that was one of our goals, was to choose a firm that was one of their strengths, and it certainly is with this group's. I
Excellent.
look forward to those conversations.
Yeah, no, exciting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Maria. It was really very helpful. Great. We'll move on to 3C, Finance Committee report.
Well, the Finance Committee did not meet in August. Luckily, Donna is on it, so I am just going to defer my time to her to sort of set us up for the start of the new school year.
Sure. I'll really just wrap up. The old year is kind of what we're still doing right now, but I think in May we presented a number of possible uses of surplus, and in this month's board reports, in the narrative, I included a listing of the things that actually made it through, and we do anticipate being able to still return about $30,000 to $40,000 with the town. One other thing I might like to mention on the combining statements that kind of look like the revenue and expense and the balance sheet type items, you might notice a few of the funds had a net loss for the year, and I just wanted to mention that in the case of the cafeteria and extended day, that is intentional. We have built up a large fund balance due to the being reimbursed by all the free lunches during COVID, and we are required to spend that down over this year. And so We purchased some new equipment, and we're going to kind of refresh the cafeteria with new painting and signage and workflow so that the students going through the serving lines have the most efficient, so they spend the less time getting their food and most time eating their food and socializing with their friends. And then in extended day, again, we encourage them, and they did purchase some new equipment for the program so that they, we're not sitting on $70,000, that they used a little bit of that up on new radios and an ice machine and maybe some better snacks provided to the kids. And then in the field trip account, we had a little tranche of invoices that really belonged to the previous fiscal year that ended up having to get run through the current year because they didn't show up in time to make it into last year. So those are the reasons that those funds had a negative, a net loss for the year.
Thank you. Any questions about, from finance? Donna? Thanks. You're welcome. Spot on all the time. Policy Committee. Erin is the chair of our Policy Committee. However, because she's in transit at the moment, I'm going to just go through the policies so that we can vote on the policies that have been sitting for 30-day review. It's actually ended up to be a little more than 30-day review because of the summer. So the first policy that we're going to look at is policy 9011, accountability, 9273, civility, 1316, conduct on school property, civility. So there are some just minor changes in language under the superintendent is accountable, and I think that's it. So I'm going to move that we adopt policy 9011 as revised. Do I have a second?
Second.
Stephen? Okay, Lynn Piazek made the motion, seconded by Stephen Lawrence. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aaron?
Aaron is an aye, and thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Aaron. The next policy we're looking at is policy 9121.
Or
Well,
1316.
there's one, isn't it 90? 11? Oh, no, that's the same
No.
one.
So you've got 1316 conduct.
Oh, sorry,
1316.
1316. Missed that one. Conduct on school property, civility as submitted. So there's been some changes in an additional paragraph under conduct on school property in terms of the amount of time it would take staff to get back to parents and communicate with them. And then there's some changes on the procedural. So I'm trying to look at two things. One is from policy committee meeting and one is from our board packet. So I'm going to make a motion to accept policy 1316, conduct on school property civility as submitted. Sarah Beth has seconded it. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is aye, thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Policy 9121. We're leaving exactly the same, but the policy committee reviewed it, so we want to update that in our policy handbook. So I'll make a motion to accept policy 9121 chairperson as revised, as presented, because I don't think there were any revisions to that. So as currently is in our policy, we'll just reapprove that policy. Second, Mike?
Second.
Mike Strambler seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is I.
Thank you, Aaron. Next one is 9122, vice chairperson. Again, there were no revisions made in the policy committee suggested, so I'll make a motion to adopt policy 9122 as written. Do I have a second? Sarah Beth? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is I.
Thank you. Unanimous. Next one, 9123, Secretary of the Board. No changes, so I move that we adopt policy 9123 as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Stephen? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is I.
Thank you. Unanimous. 9124, Clerk of the Board. There are no changes, so I'll make a motion to adopt policy 9124 as written. Do I have a second? Lauren? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is I.
Unanimous. Next one, policy 9125. So I noted in what we looked at for 30-day review, and I compared it to what we discussed in the policy committee, and I noted that in paragraph 2, following the first sentence, we had omitted the sentence that was discussed in policy. Such services may also be obtained as a consequence of a formal vote of the board. So that should have gone in after a decision to seek legal advice or assistance on behalf of the district shall be made by the superintendent or the board chairperson in accordance with board policy and when an obvious need exists. So the other option is that the formal vote of the board could seek legal advice. So I'm going to make a motion to adopt policy 9125 with the addition of the sentence at the end of paragraph 2, such services may also be obtained as a consequence of a formal vote of the board. Do I have a second to that motion? Stephen? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is I.
Unanimous, thank you. Next policy is 9130, I think.
Got
Is that right?
9150.
Sorry, 9150. Consultants. Is that it? Yep, board consultants. Let me turn the page. Policy 9150, the only addition that was made was at the end of bullet 2, the word "and." So I will make a motion that we move to adopt 9150 as revised. Do I have a second? Sarah Beth? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aaron is I.
That's unanimous. Wonderful. We've gotten through that, and I think that takes us almost to the end of the 9,000 series. I think there was one that we held.
Yeah.
that the policy committee will be looking at next month, or next meeting, I should say. So, we've done a lot of good work on the 9,000 series. So I thank you. Next is CABE Liaison Report.
Doesn't matter that one. We're missing 9130. We don't. It's okay. Did we do that one?
It's not in the
9130
packet.
wasn't in the packet, so I think we have to hang on to 9130.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what let me look back and see what we did with 9130 in policy committee.
All right. I'll give the CABE liaison report is
9130, we talked about omitting Vonda in policy committee,
Yes, we did, because we already have it somewhere else.
because we have committees somewhere else. So let me go back to 9130 and make a motion to omit policy 9130 from board policy. That's going to be my motion.
I will second your motion.
And Stephen's seconding that. Is there any discussion on the omission of that? The information CABE has for committees, we cover under another policy. And I'm sorry, it's what?
That's what it says in our notes.
Okay,
It's not necessary.
right. It's redundant.
It's the same language, it's just a.
Yeah, it's a redundant one. And let me go back and read that from the policy minutes so that.
It took me further back, but not where I wanted. There's gotta be a way.
Yes, policy 9130 was not currently a policy in Woodbridge, and it was not necessary as the language was covered in other policies. So do we need to, Marcia, make a motion to omit it, because it's not in there? It's not in the policy. Okay, so I'm going to withdraw that motion, because it's not in our policies currently. And policy committee said it was redundant. All right, so that covers policy.
okay.
CABE liaison.
So for CABE, just keep in mind the CABE convention is November 15th and 16th. So if you're interested in attending, mark those dates in your calendar, and then at some point, Marcia will let us know when we need to
So
RSVP to her.
I just got
Yes.
an email on that, and the early registration ends on August 23rd. So if we want to save the district money, we really need to sign up by August 23rd.
Okay.
And the keynote speaker is Timothy Shriver, Chair of Special Olympics this year, so. Nick, can you hear me? Because Aaron can't. Sorry, we're working out our glitches here for tonight. So please make a note, August 23rd is not far off, so let us know if you want to go. Do you have anything else, Sarah Beth? Because I
That's it.
do. CABE is offering a series of school finance webinars. Wednesday, September 11th from 12 to 1:15 is best practices for financial oversight. And Tuesday, September 24th is how the budget is developed, adopted, and the board's oversight role, which I think is a great one if you can sign up. It's a free webinar, and if you can't watch it at that time, then it'll be archived for you if you sign up. So I highly recommend that one. Pre-registration is required. So that's CABE. All right, moving on to upcoming meeting presentations. Our October board of Education meeting will include a report from the PTO highlighting the organization's plans for the upcoming school year. We will also acknowledge those staff members that have achieved tenure this year, as well as recognize veteran staff for milestone years of service. Sorry, it's the September meeting. Thank you, Vanta. I'm trying to rush the year, can you tell? I feel like it should be September because school's starting. And so my monthly community service announcement, Facilities Committee will meet Thursday, September 5th, 7:30 a.m. Finance Committee will meet Tuesday, September 10th, 4:30 p.m. The next meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, September 16th at 7 o'clock p.m. And at our board retreat, board members, we agreed that we would attend the school's open houses this year to introduce ourselves and to give an overview of board operations. So, the open houses are Thursday, August 29th, Wednesday, September 4th, Thursday, September 5th, all at 6 o'clock p.m. So, I'm gonna go around and say, what night do you wanna come? So what night would you like to come, Stephen?
I actually have one on my calendar, whatever the 5th grade night is, because I'm
Fifth-
going to be there.
Good.
Anyway.
Thursday, 5th grade, Thursday, 29th at 6 o'clock. I'm writing
It's
you.
already on my calendar.
Got it. How about you, Sarah Beth? You'll probably be there every night.
It looks like the 4th I could do.
Wednesday, the 4th is 3, 4, and MAG.
Oh, perfect. It works out.
Is
Yeah.
that good?
It's good.
Sarah Beth.
What night is grade 2?
Grade 2 is, this is going to be great, Thursday, September 5th.
That's me.
That's you. Mike,
I could do the 4th or the 5th.
which one would you like to do?
I'll do the.
Do we know, Jeff has got a 6th grader, I think? Does Jeff's got a 6th grade? Sarah Beth, does Jeff have a 6th grader?
Graduated.
No,
Right? He has another, his daughter,
his daughter.
maybe.
I don't know. Okay, and Aaron, how about you? Can you hear us?
Did you say Mac? Training board?
She left? Oh.
There's some issues with the thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, do we know where Joelle is? Ms. Sherman, can you help me? Do you know what grade Joelle is in?
Oh, Joelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is going into 3rd.
So we might have her for Wednesday night then. We might have Jeff for Thursday night and Brooke. So can you do Thursday night?
I can do Thursday.
Thursday
I
the
could-
5th.
Yeah, and I could also move because I have a Thursday kid too, so doesn't matter.
Okay, well, you could come twice.
Okay.
What?
Brooke would need 4th grade.
4th grade, Brooke? Okay. All right, Mike, I'm putting you for Thursday night, the 5th, okay? And I'm going to check in with the others. I'm going to try and be there every night.
And Lynn, what time did you say again?
6 o'clock. And Ms. Sherman, is that going to be in the cafeteria?
Yep, so we start in the cafeteria and then we, move into classrooms.
Okay. All right, we'll send you out reminders for the times that you signed up, and we'll look forward, and Stephen and Sarah Beth and I are gonna work on something that, so the messaging can be
Consistent.
the same for every evening. So that'll be great. New business. 4A is adopt the 2024-2025 board district goals. So you will find in your packet, we talked at retreat that we were going to leave the goals that we established for last year, the same goals for this year. They're broad goals that are really what our job should be. So I need a motion to adopt those for this year as well.
All right, I move that we adopt the 2024-25 board mission, vision, and goals as presented.
Second, Mike. Stephen Lawrence made the motion, seconded by Mike Strambler. Any discussion on the board's mission, vision, and goals for this coming year? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next, we have on the agenda, action on the capital plan funded ed specs. So my understanding is that we need to move forward with CSG for the next phase of the work. And so the board just needs to acknowledge that the money that's in the capital budget that has been budgeted for that project be expended. Thumbs up from Maria. So I am going to make a motion that the board engages CSG in the next phase of work paid for by the capital funds that have been, this is a bad motion, for the capital funds that have been set aside.
Capital.
You don't think it needs action?
I just think through the chair.
Yeah, help us out here.
I believe that CSG just needs an updated contract signed by the town. The money's there, the support is there, the acknowledgement's there. I just think we need to be on paper for future state funding to say that we all understand that the money will be spent from the capital plan funds and that CSG needs a contract signed by Maria and the town committee extending for the ed specs portion, because we only signed for the first two phases because those were the phases funded
That we
from our
funded for our budget.
So the rest of it is falling under the auspices of the town committee charge. So
So we don't need to vote on that?
I don't believe there's any action. The money's there. The committee acknowledged that the money would be used for this with that company. The company just needs a contract
Okay,
to sign. So I'll just reach out tomorrow morning and ask, I'll include you and Donna, and just ask that Jim forward a contract to the town committee chair, Maria Madonic, to sign
to
for
move
the ed
forward
spec
with the ed
phase.
spec phase.
He needs permission to do phase 3. We've got the money, we've got the support. He needs to sign something.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Then I don't have to make a motion that was so bad. That was so awful. Okay, and now I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to address the special education enrollment concerns that Vonda shared during her superintendent's report. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Stephen. So do you have anything else you want to say about that we need? Additional-
I really don't. We would never go into detail on grade levels or
Right.
anything like that. It's identifiable. We had 4 students move in that have documented IEPs requiring the service. And, we looked very hard to see if we could provide those services within our current staff, and we are unable to. So we do need to provide that support, and in fact, I do believe there are a few candidates that were in our pool that are still available, and we would be very interested in moving forward with hiring. We actually might be able to fill some of them pretty quickly.
Okay, so we can discuss this. I will make a motion to authorize the superintendent to add 4 additional paraeducator positions.
We've got a motion on the floor already.
Oh, did we not vote?
You did not vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Motion to amend the agenda. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. Motion to amend the agenda. All those in favor? And we've lost Aaron, so it's just 5 people. Marcia, so it's unanimous. Okay, thank you, Marcia. Now, moving on.
Keep us in the rules of order. Now I would like to make a motion to authorize the superintendent to add 4 additional paraeducator positions to the operating budget. Do I have a second?
Lauren. Okay, any discussion?
So, yeah. So, I mean, clearly we need to do this. Do we have a sense of what this will cost? Do we have a sense of whether we'll be able to find the proper paraeducators to fill these positions? It sounds really promising this year, unlike the last several, so that's exciting. What do you think?
So, I will ask Donna to address, the cost and possible options for funding, as they were not in our current operating budget. They are additional expenditures. Now, with that said, we might have some funds that are currently unused that Donna can address. In terms of availability, as I said, we actually do have at least 2 paraeducators that we were very pleased with, that we would, I believe, be able, if still available, to move forward and offer positions to. So that, again, is highly unusual, and many districts are scrambling. So that part of it sounds really good. Donna, would you be able to talk a little bit?
Yeah, it's too early for me to say that we have come up with funds within our own budget to pay for that. Now, that being said, I do know of some special ed funds that we planned in our budget that I don't think we're going to need. I also think of the new hires. I don't know that everybody took as much insurance as I planned. So I think there may be some. I don't think it's going to pay for 4 paras plus their payroll taxes plus any insurance they might take. But I can't give an answer on how much I think we should ask. I mean, I think we're going to have to go back to the town and ask for something. I don't think it'll be the full cost, but it's going to be something. So I don't know if you want. Yeah, I don't know
I
if
think
you
we
want
may-
better information before you make your decision, or if we
I think we're gonna have
just.
to wait until the year kind of plays out a little more.
Right.
Before we have a sense of exactly the funds that we have available in our budget because of those circumstances.
But
Could you give us, Donna, an example of what a paraeducator who takes a single plus a spouse or another person would cost? Like a paraeducator with 1 additional, like an insurance plus 1,
okay,
roughly.
very roughly.
Very roughly. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Just so the board has an idea of what
Yeah.
that could be. I mean, all things equal, we'd be asking for 4 and not being able to cover any. Again, school hasn't started, so it's hard to say we could cover any. But so at this point, I would say we are asking for 4, and here's a rough dollar amount. With high hopes that we'd be able to cover some of that as the year goes on.
Okay, so this is very rough. Salary plus and payroll taxes plus the district's portion of Seamers plus the district's portion of health for an employee plus 1 would be about $62,000.
Times 4.
Yeah, so about 250,000
Correct.
altogether.
If they all took that,
Right,
But-
right. And is this, just because the excess cost grants, I know it and then I lose it. In a sense, is this something when we get to the end of the year, this potentially is covered through that?
I
or-
don't believe any of these students would be high enough costs that would get us anything for excess costs, so no.
Okay, okay. So in essence, this will be either we may have to go to the town, or we've had the luxury of a really nice surplus
Right.
the last few years, which has enabled us to do additional repairs and buy equipment and do some things that may not be on the table for this year.
That's right.
Okay.
But at the same time, we're legally obligated to provide
Absolutely.
these services.
Yeah, so it's really a question
easy,
of how we're
how are we
paying
gonna pay
for
for
it versus
Yeah, right.
would we pay for it? We're paying for it. Yeah.
Right.
But just also, I mean, but it's helpful to have that perspective, because that's going to show up in the next budget report
Yeah.
in September, and as we look
Right.
at that and say,
We're gonna
oh,
see
what
those
happened?
numbers.
It's like, oh, right, this
Mhm.
is,
Right.
and the reality is we could have other learners coming in, with similar IEPs over the course of this year. We don't, we don't know. So, okay. I mean, the great thing is you were able to find 36.6 paras and 0.6. That had to be really tough, and the fact that we have the potential lead on at least 2 more. Yeah, we are in a very a very good position.
We are.
Mike, did you have any questions?
Nope, covered everything I was gonna ask.
Nope. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to authorize the superintendent to add 4 additional paraeducator positions to our 2024-2025 operating budget. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Good luck.
If I could, through the chair, I just want to assure you that each year we closely look at those paras as the year unfolds and at the end of the year. And this year we were actually able to make some efficiencies and reduce. So just because we're adding 4 this year doesn't mean that we still need to have them next year. We just have to look at student needs and who moves in and who moves out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. And thank you for making that statement. Okay, item 6 on the agenda at, I will note, 8:07 is other public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none, there is no need to go into executive session this evening. And so I will ask at 8:08 p.m. for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn. Oh, actually, or Mike.
No, you got it.
And
So
are you seconding?
I will second.
Mike is seconding the motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. And I hope that all the people who are out watching us are having a wonderful end of summer, and we look forward to the students coming this year for a great year. Have a good evening. Thank you.